Louisiana had a lot to gain from Bob Livingston at the helm in the House. Today, the state's feeling the loss.
WVUE-TV, New Orleans. This is Fox 8 News.
Good evening. Bob Livingston's supporters are ready to throw in the towel tonight.
It seems there's little hope Livingston will change his mind, and that could cost Louisiana tens of millions of dollars. Rob Masson has that story.
Nancy, John, when Livingston announced he would resign, everyone from the governor on down said they would try and get him to change his mind. This evening, those hopes are disappearing by the moment. He was in line to become the third most powerful elected official in the U.S., but tonight friends and supporters are giving up any hope of convincing Bob Livingston to stay on.
With respect to speakership, that is no longer an option at all for him.
Former Governor Dave Treen says he spoke with his longtime friend and law partner this morning.
Bob seemed very calm, and he indicated he was at peace with himself. With regard to his staying in the Congress, which I hoped he would do, he indicated, too, that probably not. He didn't use the word probably not. He didn't give me an indication that he would change his mind on that.
Livingston's departure is a major blow to elected officials throughout the region.
I was dejected the whole weekend and shocked like everyone else, and felt sympathy for Bob and his family.
Jefferson Parish has gained much from Bob Livingston, including $85 million in drainage improvements.
Bob has been extremely instrumental. If you look at this year's budget, the president only offered about $16 million for funding, and yet through the congressional work by primarily Mr. Livingston and Mr. Brogan, as well as, I should say, our entire congressional delegation, they got that up to over $80 million this year.
Livingston was also instrumental in getting tens of millions of dollars for Avondale projects and $3 million for a new sheriff's radio system.
Those would not have happened without Bob Livingston.
In Orleans Parish, Livingston also cast a long shadow, helping land a $65 million research park on the lakefront, $60 million in drainage improvements, and $7 million for the Canal streetcar line. Local Republicans are in shock over this week's developments.
It has gone too far when Larry Flint can determine the course of this country.
Livingston's impact is also evident on the North Shore, where he helped land $5 million in funds for the Mandeville seawall and a lucrative lease worth about $1 million a year at the old Slidell NASA facility.
I think it's regrettable. I would have hoped that Bob would not have done what he did. I think he did it because he has a great regard for the Congress of the United States and the House of Representatives.
Tonight, many Livingston colleagues are looking back on the unprecedented access he gave them to power in Washington. Power often reflected in projects which local taxpayers would otherwise have had to pay for. And Jefferson Parish officials say to finance the drainage improvements which Livingston helped land, Jefferson residents may have had to pay an extra 2 cents a year in sales taxes, and that probably would have never happened.
It's quite a blow losing him. All right, well, meantime, the Republican search for a new House Speaker continues. Chief Deputy Whip Dennis Hastert of Illinois is the man mentioned as most likely to succeed Livingston. Other possibilities include Chris Cox of California, Henry Hyde of Illinois, and William Archer of Texas, and Steve Largent of Oklahoma.
Two former presidents are calling on the Senate to end the impeachment proceedings against President Clinton. In a New York Times guest editorial, Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford say the Senate should vote to censure. They say impeachment has already brought profound disgrace to Mr. Clinton, and they contend a Senate trial will only exacerbate the jagged divisions tearing at our national fabric. Even so, Senator John Breaux warns the White House not to try challenging the constitutionality of impeachment by a lame duck Congress. He says the public wants straight shooting from both parties.
It is not in the Republican Party's interest to drag this out for a 3 or 4 month trial. It's in their political interest to get it done quickly.
Despite the House impeachment vote, President Clinton's job approval rating has skyrocketed to an all-time high, 73%. The same poll shows the majority of Americans, 57%, now view the Republican Party in an unfavorable light. The funeral for a second teenager murdered in a nighttime ambush last week is over.
Tonight, LaShondra Brown's mother refuses to go back to her apartment in the housing project where her daughter was killed, and she's made it her mission to get out of the projects altogether.
I got to get out of that house. I got to, in order to have a better way.
Lachita Brown buried her daughter today. 14-year-old LaShondra Brown was sleeping over with friends when she and one other teen were killed in a hail of bullets in the St. Bernard housing project. Now, Brown says living in the development is too dangerous and too painful.
And every time I walk out my door, you know, I'm going to be looking at that house where my daughter died at.
We need to get together, the family, stick together and get the hell out of New Orleans because there's not no place to raise no kids.
13-year-old India Sanders was also killed in the shooting. Memorials to her, nicknamed Cotty, and LaShondra, nicknamed Mux, litter the project walls. One suspect, 21-year-old Kia Burris, is in custody, but police are still looking for another.
I'll just be glad when they do catch him and give him a lethal injection or whatever they're going to do to him. But I just don't want him to be, I don't want him to be still living. God knows I really don't.
Although the only surviving victim is out of the hospital, relatives of 16-year-old Alma Brown say she will not be returning to this building. They say her whereabouts are still being kept under wraps for her safety. Meanwhile, family and friends gather to comfort Brown's mother with support and a traditional spread of food. A cake with LaShondra's nickname is a symbol of the girl who died too soon.
The Lord got her in a safe place right now, and everything's going to be okay.
LaShondra Brown was a 7th grader at Livingston Middle School.
A faulty water heater is the suspected killer in the deaths of a Gibson Street couple. Police say 28-year-old Amika Nelson and 30-year-old Antoine Zanders were overcome and killed by carbon monoxide in the St. Bernard housing project yesterday. Readings taken in the apartment by the fire department show high levels of carbon monoxide. Police think there was a problem with the water heater, but Hanno says it's doing its own investigation and has nothing else to say. The nursery of a Houston hospital is home to 8 tiny babies, the world's first known surviving set of octuplets. Nakem Chikwu gave birth to the first of the babies December 8th, and then doctors delivered the remaining 7 by C-section yesterday. She was using fertility drugs to get pregnant, but wouldn't allow any of the fetuses to be aborted.
She's a deeply religious woman, and I don't think that would ever be an option to her.
The babies weigh less than 2 pounds each. 7 are on ventilators, 2 on oxygen. Their mom had surgery today to stabilize a bleeding problem.
A 12-year-old in Washington, D.C. learned an important lesson the hard way. Don't try to fit into a 14-inch drainage pipe. John Wark and his friends were out playing when, for some reason, John tried to crawl through the drainage pipe.
Then John said, I'm gonna get through. And said, stupid thing to do. And we told him not to go. But he started off, and then there were people sitting behind him. And then we were like, no, don't go, don't go. He's like, I can make it.
He didn't, and about 100 feet in, he got scared and tired and stopped. It took firefighters and a whole bunch of heavy equipment to get him out. Tired, cold, and embarrassed, but otherwise still worse for the wear. Up next, another world leader could be out of a job after the first of the year.
Plus, Iraq talks about what hurt, and UNO students learn something off campus, way off campus.
Fox News 8 closed captioning is made possible in part by Cadillac.
The sounds of the season are filling the air. Don't miss the biggest holiday bash. All new Melrose Place. Then, 1 husband, 2 wives.
What?
One heck of a marriage.
I guess the women just take turns being too tired.
Ally McBeal.
Tonight at 7 on Fox 8.
For the holidays, Lakeview Fine Foods Rolling Pin Bakery has Santa Stable and snowman cakes, party trays, and cupcake 6-packs. Lakeview Fine Foods, 801 Harrison Avenue.
Mom, I'm nervous.
Texas. Oh, Austin? You're going to do great. Kansas.
Topeka.
Hawaii.
Honolulu. Atlanta. Sacramento.
You are good.
Keep them coming, Mom.
Now a study confirms what you've always known. A smart breakfast like this with whole grain oat Cheerios helps kids do better in school.
Mom, give me a tough one.
Vermont.
Montpelier.
The one and only Cheerios.
She can help you with the tough ones.
Mom.
Now is the time for you to own that Rolex you've always wanted. Come to Adler's and take your pick. A Rolex in rugged stainless steel or an 18-karat gold. Whichever you select, Adler's has one of the South's largest, most complete selections of Rolex watches and factory-trained Rolex sales and service experts to assist you. Adler's is the perfect place to buy, and now is the perfect time to own a Rolex. Rolex and Adler's, a tradition since 1898. Canal Lakeside in Oakwood.
Hello, Santa. Your little helpers are eating us out of Relax, Elvie. I just got a whole sleigh load of incredible edibles using my Del Champs Gold Card and saved a fortune. I got 5-pound bags of gold medal flour, just 69 cents each, and 48-ounce bottles of Wesson oil, only $1.49.
Those incredible edibles are disappearing. Can you make another run to Del's Champs?
Oh, love to, Elvie.
Use your Del Champs Gold Card. And remember, we double manufacturers' coupons every day.
In America in the 70s, they said only Nixon could go to China. Only a staunch anti-communist could open those doors.
In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was considered a hardliner on dealing with the Palestinians, but Netanyahu may be a victim of his own peace process. Critics on the left accuse him of dragging his feet, on the right of giving away the store. Now the parliament will force Netanyahu's government to stand for re-election early.
Iraq says civilians took the brunt of the airstrikes in the latest showdown with Saddam. Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz says despite U.S. and British claims of success against Iraq's Republican Guard and the military, only 62 soldiers were killed. He says civilian casualties were higher, but the main casualty was UNSCOM.
The moment America and Britain launched missiles against Iraq, they killed us. So UNSCOM is their own casualty, not ours.
The end of the airstrikes does not mean Barksdale Air Force Base crews can come home. About 200 Barksdale crew people are still in Diego Garcia. Arrangements are being made to bring about 40 of them home because they spent last Thanksgiving and Christmas there.
People on both sides of the Atlantic remembered one of the worst air disasters in history today. Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland 10 years ago today. Hundreds in Scotland lit candles to remember the 270 people killed. President Clinton honored the victims by laying a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery.
This was deliberate murder. And while all of us have to strive for reconciliation in our hearts, we must also pursue justice and accountability.
Students at Syracuse University also held a memorial. 35 of the victims were Syracuse students who had been studying abroad.
Well, coming up, they're sliding down the slopes again.
And I'm saying you'll need the coats again. A much colder Fox forecast is just ahead.
It's Toyotathon's 20th anniversary. Celebrate amazing.
Ski operators are in business again. A spokesman at a ski resort in Vail, Colorado says the goggles and gloves are flying off the shelves. 9 inches of snow fell in Aspen this weekend, and people in California were also getting in on the cool weather. It was hailing and snowing in Lancaster, and some predict it may get as low as the -0 range in the mountains.
Kind of makes you long for it here, doesn't it?
Not really.
Say what? No. We have a big event coming up here in a little more than an hour, and I know you're thrilled about it because we had a record high today. So we thought we'd celebrate by kicking off the first official start to winter. This is the astronomical winter. It begins tonight when the sun is right over the Tropic of Cancer, and as the Earth rotates around the sun, the angle kind of tilts the northern hemisphere away from it, so we get less sunlight up here. What does all that mean? It means that at this time of the year, it's our coldest time. It starts tonight at a little before 8 o'clock, and it is the coldest time. Look at this plunge of cold air over a good part of the country. That's not a mistake. -11 in Denver, and it's still snowing there. The mountains are getting pounded. If you're going skiing for Christmas there, it's wonderful. And boy, the warm air is streaming up the East Coast, but it's about to exit too. Now, we're watching the cold air dive southward because the upper steering pattern is bringing the cold air out of Canada. However, if you watch down across the southern latitudes, it's a southwest flow. What does that mean? Well, it means the cold air is going to have a struggle to get down to us. Good news, we don't worry about a freeze with that kind of flow. We also have another disturbance dropping down the west coast, and we have, count them, 1, 2 areas of disturbed weather that are going to head our way. So once we get into the cold air, it's going to stay ugly here the rest of this week. It is not that far away. Again, the bitter cold, the core of the cold, is going to go well to our north. This is not going to give us a freeze, but you can kiss the spring-like weather goodbye. It's gone for the rest of this week. Here's the way I expect it to happen. The front should be upon us and through us by as soon as 6, maybe no later than 9. It's well off the coast during the afternoon hours. Warmest temperatures early, then we fall into the 40s with quite a wind chill. A wave forms on the front, produces maybe a cold, light rain here on Wednesday. That moves by us so that Thursday we're just windy, cloudy, and cold. Yuck! Gets worse Christmas Day. Another wave moves along that front. Get the picture? Southwest flow. Waves keep forming on that front. We may not see sunshine again until next Saturday. My goodness. 3 up at, like Goodland. 16 Oklahoma City. 27 in Dallas. 74. Can you find the front? Boy, it's laying right. It's about to go through Shreveport, and in fact, you'll see it on the radar in just a minute. Low clouds coming out of the Gulf like so. The upper wind flow from the southwest. The infrared picture shows that quite nicely. So you see this upper flow? There's no way we can get a freeze with that kind of upper flow. And I don't see that shifting a whole lot this week. Now, here's the front. And, you know, Shreveport's right about there. It is just about ready to make its way to Shreveport. It's still a couple of hours from Houston. And, again, by the time it gets to us, it's going to be towards daybreak. So we have a major weather change. Don't leave the house without your heavy weather gear tomorrow, even though in the early part of the morning, it may feel still like it's warmish. 81 was the high, and that sets a new all-time record at Audubon Park. My goodness, we're way too warm. The 66 low is warmer than where our normal high is supposed to be at this time of the year. That's going to change, though. We're in the 70s now. Humidity's high. Wind flight, all pointing to fog setting back in later tonight. So you got to get off early tomorrow. If the front doesn't get here soon enough, we could have problems with morning fog as we did this morning. We expect the dense fog to return very mild overnight, 65 to 70, with south-southwest winds. Tomorrow, those winds switch around. The warmest part of the day will be early morning when it might be above 60, and then we crash during the day into the 40s with increasing north winds, giving us wind chills that are going to make it feel like in the 20s and 30s. We have no freezes predicted on the South Shore right on through this extended period. However, the North Shore may see some 30s. Some rain Wednesday, some rain on Christmas Day, maybe some sun by Saturday afternoon. Not a pretty week, but it's going to feel like Christmas, no question about it. Now, if you're going fishing, small craft advisory will go up at daybreak. Winds tomorrow around to the northeast at 15 to 25. Take your rain slicker. Take all your weather gear because hypothermia with that kind of cold, use some caution and some common sense.
Just not used to that around here.
No, it comes on you in a hurry.
Oof,
all right. 24 UNO students say they learned some valuable lessons in Honduras. They returned today after spending more than a week helping get relief supplies to Hurricane Mitch victims. Some say they saw houses still underwater and people living in tents pitched along roadsides. They all say they got an enthusiastic welcome throughout Honduras.
They were happy to see some Americans come in to help and lend support.
I'll do it again in a heartbeat.
5 other students decided to stay in Honduras longer, and they're due to return later this week.
Well, up next, Mike Ditka has been on a roll these last 24 hours.
Yeah, upset with his team last night, talking about the future today.
It's the season for fleece at Academy.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the right price.
Academy warms up the fall season with jerseys, fleece tops, and pants for men, women, and kids. For all your outdoor fun in all your favorite colors, jerseys, fleece tops, and pants. New low price, just $4.99 at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
The pearl.
Haven't seen Mike Ditka this down in the dumps in a long time. I mean, this is an all-time low.
Yeah, he was very, very upset last night, and that's what we're going to start with. You know, Mike Ditka watched the Saints get eliminated from the playoffs yesterday in Phoenix. He was livid on the sideline after taking a 17-16 lead. Ditka watches his defense went into prevent. Linebacker Mark Fields blew not 1 but 2 assignments, and Jake Plummer led his team to victory. After the game on Ditka Review, the coach questioned his staff, his team, and himself.
I'm embarrassed by the way we played. I really am. I apologize. I apologize for the way we played offense the first half, too. It's pathetic football. We're trying not to lose instead of trying to win, and you can't play football that way. The thing that bothered me, at times we didn't look like we knew where we were supposed to line up, and that bothers me. I don't want to make football that complicated. It can't be that complicated for these kids. If it's that complicated, we shouldn't do it. I mean, really, we should get out of it.
It seemed like you were upset a lot today.
I was upset. I lost. Because the game, I knew what it comes down to, Jimmy. I've been there before. And maybe that's the way I have to coach. This, I mean, I got on Curry about a couple of things, too. Because the idea is, if it's first down, take the sure thing. This owner doesn't want to hear that. Right. They got away. Well, we're not supposed to let them get away. That's our job as coaches and players, not to let them get away, to teach these guys a way to understand how to win and what they have to do to win. We aren't ready to take the step up. We had a chance. We are not ready to take the step up. You know, I may be the problem. I don't know, because I'm pretty negative right now.
On the day after, Mike Ditka had mellowed a little bit, but he was still upset about the loss that ended his team's playoff hopes. Ditka did say, though, he has no plans on quitting, but this team clearly needs help in the offseason. Ditka made it clear he believes in the NFL draft, not in free agency.
I'm trying to find people who want to play in this organization and stay in this organization. Those who don't, let them go either way. They'll pass by the way. But I don't want to go out and keep looking around for people to bring them in. I just don't want to do it. Now, maybe other people want to do it. I don't. So I just want to make that clear, so if it comes back to haunt me, it'll come back to haunt me.
More with Mike Ditka coming up tonight at 9 o'clock. Yesterday, Jake the Snake Plummer took a bite out of the Saints. Today, he took a bite out of Cardinal owner Bill Bidwell's wallet. Plummer signed a 4-year contract extension. It'll pay him $29.7 million. That's big. But the contract calls for a $15 million bonus. That's the largest in NFL history.
It's a great sign to these guys that we're focused in on winning, and what we want to do is win ball games, whatever it takes. And you know, I'm just excited. I really feel, you know, lucky to be here in this opportunity and at this moment, because we're going in the right direction, and that's up.
News not as good for Falcons head coach Dan Reeves. He readmitted himself back into the hospital last night after feeling some pain. Doctors expect Reeves to remain hospitalized for the next 3 to 4 days. Remember, of course, last week he underwent quadruple bypass surgery the day after his Falcons beat the Saints. And we'll celebrate Christmas with the New Orleans Brass coming up tonight at 9.
All right, be right back.
Time after time, we've proven it. If you're not shopping,
Our specialist right away.
With OMNAT, injured employees receive treatment faster.
They've even opened a website.
I'm back.
Call your agent.
LWCC. It's how workers' comp is supposed to work.
Coming up tonight on Fox 8 News, a look at some of the hottest high-tech toys that you might want under your Christmas tree this year, and see why some Hurricane Mitch relief workers say their trip to Central America was a big waste of time. A story tonight at 9 and 10.
Finally, kids who are in the hospital and won't get to be home for Christmas got a special gift today.
You feeling okay? I brought you a little something.
NOPD officers brought gifts to kids at Charity and Tulane today. From baby dolls to fire trucks, all the toys donated by the NOPD staff. The 3rd year the department has sponsored the giveaway.
Always brings smiles. Well, that's our news for now. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you later.
Give any room.
What's new? 24-hour News 8's Daybreak. Live from your 24-hour news source, here's the latest from WISH TV.
I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to say to her. She gave me a big hug.
So from tears of sorrow to tears of joy, what happened to an out-of-work Hoosier after he talked to 24-hour News 8?
At first, it took me a while before I realized what was going on.
But what he finally realized, someone stole his credit card information after eating at a Northside restaurant, and he wasn't the only victim.
This horrific crash. Today, I went trackside to see the damage